Well, before I say anything, I need to say that I have tremendous respect for Chomsky, and he was really my entree into radical politics, as is true for many people. And he's done tremendous work. And so I don't want to say anything negative about him. So I would like to drop him out of the discussion and merely talk about um, this critique that somehow wanting to bring down civilization uh, makes you wanting to foment genocide or mass murder. And before I say that, I have to say I just got back from doing a talk in Illinois, which is sort of central United States. And my planes were late, and I got in about 1 in the morning. And I'm standing out in front waiting for a the shuttle to my hotel about 1 in the morning. It's about 70 degrees. I don't know what that is Celsius. It's a warm night. And I'm standing out there, and there's all the lights in the parking lot, and I all of a sudden realize what's wrong. There's something bothering me, and what's wrong is that I don't see any moths. I don't see a single fucking moth. There's not any moths beating themselves against the windows. There's no moths against the lights. And I get to my hotel, and it's about 2 o'clock now, and I walk about half a mile, three-quarters of a mile to the nearest all-night restaurant, and I go past a river, a pond, stream, and so on, and I don't hear a single frog. Um, okay, so now let's back up, and I think it's extraordinary that anyone can talk about bringing down civilization as being an act of genocide when, and you notice the people who always say this are white people, and they're also at the center of empire. And it fucking cracks me up and it infuriates me that they say this when this culture is based on systematic genocide. Just a second, I gotta get this. Hello? Hey, I'm doing a talk in Ireland. I will call you back later. Okay, bye. Sorry about that. Um, um, anyway, human languages are disappearing faster than, um, at a relatively faster rate than wild species. And wild species are going extinct at a rate of 200 species per day. And the genocide is already happening. It's just not white people. And it's just not people you know. And it's not people who look like you and are dressed like you. Instead, it's the people who grow your coffee. And in fact, the reason that people of your class and my class can have coffee is because people of their class are being dispossessed. It's an absolutely extraordinary statement because, first off, when we talk about a lot of people dying through the crash, first off, which people are you talking about, once again? But let's expand it further. You talking about hammerhead shark people? You talking about polar bear people? You talk about prairie dog people? You talk about bison people? But they don't count in these equations. They're never mentioned. They're never mentioned at all. In fact, when they are mentioned, somebody will say, oh, beetles need habitat? Well, fuck off, not you personally, but the people who say that can fuck off because beetle populations are collapsing and hammerhead shark populations are collapsing and bluefin tuna populations are collapsing. And their lives are just as valuable to them as mine is to me and yours is to you. So first off, which people are we talking about? Well, they're dropping non-human people out of there entirely, which is both arrogant and suicidal. The next thing is, let's ask again, which people are you talking about? Because years ago, I asked Anuradha Mittal, former director of Food First, if the people of India would be better off if the global economy disappeared tomorrow. And she laughed and said, of course. The poor people the world over would be better off if the global economy disappeared tomorrow. Why do you think they're poor? Poor people the world over are not dying of starvation. They're dying of colonialism. And I mean, the people in Ireland should understand this. In the Great Potato Famine, Ireland was exporting grain. Most of the countries experiencing famine at any time are net exporters of food. They're exporting cash crops. So that equation gets forgotten by the people, by the boosters of capitalism, the people who believe that capitalism should be saved at any cost. Um, do you think that the people, the 2 billion people on the planet who are living right now, who don't have electricity, do you think they would care if the grid went down? Yeah, they would. They would probably be happy for the most part. I have a friend, in fact, a friend who just called, who used to be married to a Bangladeshi. And 15 years ago, he was able to, his mother would say to him, please go to the river and catch fish for lunch. And he would do that every day. And now there are no fish in the river because of pollution from factories. And they now get their fish from Iceland. And there are 11 dams right now planned for the lower Mekong. And these dams will not only kill, destroy, murder, extirpate the largest catfish on the planet, largest freshwater fish on the planet, but there's about 1.5 million people who will lose their livelihoods and lose their homes on the lower Mekong. Their lives are based on fishing, and these dams are going in for electricity. So it's an extraordinary statement to say that those of us who want to stop this culture from killing the planet are wanting to foment genocide when it's what's happening with this culture. This culture, Stanley Diamond has this great line, civilization originates in conquest abroad and repression at home. I mean, it's insane that I am in Tolowa country, in Tolowa Indian country, in Northwest California, and I am speaking the same language as you across the world. I mean, that's insane, and that's genocidal right there, because a language has to do with how you relate to everything. A language teaches you, among other things, to relate to your place. And, I mean, I'm sorry, one of the signs of intelligence is the ability to recognize patterns. I'm allowed a pattern. Let's see if we can recognize it in less than 6,000 years. When people think of the plains and hillsides of Iraq, is the first thing they think of cedar forests so thick that sunlight never touches the ground? That's how it was before the beginnings of this culture. And Saudi Arabia, the Arabian Peninsula, was an oak savanna. The Near East was heavily forested. North Africa was heavily forested. Greece was heavily forested. The UK was heavily forested. And, sorry, the British Isles. And, sorry, the islands off the coast of Europe. And, okay, but that doesn't alter the fact that as civilization crashes, a lot of people are going to die. And I've got a bunch more answers I could give to this. One of them is that I can also guarantee that as civilization crashes, the greater portion of the misery caused by that crash is going to be because those whose lifestyles are killing the planet have to maintain those lifestyles at all costs. And a great example of this is that there are people dying of thirst all over the world, or dying because they don't have access to water. But the problem isn't that the world's running out of water, which is what we hear all the time. The problem instead is that 90% of the water is used for agriculture and industry. And the water's being stolen. Municipal golf courses use the same amount of water as municipal human beings. And so, I mean, if the dams were to fail on the Colorado River in the southwestern United States, and the Colorado River once again to reach the ocean, if the capitalist press were still around, I could hear them all braying as one that the people of Arizona are going to die of thirst. But I wouldn't want to hear one word of complaint so long as there existed a single irrigated citrus orchard, a single irrigated alfalfa field, a single irrigated rice paddy, so long as there existed a single golf course, a single lawn, so long as Las Vegas still existed. I mean, the reason some people don't have water is because other people take it. And there's a great line by a California senator, Dianne Feinstein. She said that the reason they need to raise this one dam is because it is Californians' God-given right to water their lawns. And that's just it right there. And I want to step away for a second, and I want to talk about it. 13 years ago, I interviewed a member of the Tupac Amaristas, a member of the MRTA, a rebel group in Peru. And I said to him, what do you want for the people of Peru? And he said, we want to be able to grow and distribute our own food. We already know how to do that. We merely need to be allowed to do so. And that's the entire struggle right there. It's like the Onondaga Oran Lion said that there is no security without food security. And so that really brings me, there's a bunch more places I could take this. And if you want to know more what I think about it, either read Endgame, my chapters on population, or um, you can just look at my Endgame talk, and the part on population is about 2/3 through, and I go through all the reasons why I disagree with this argument. But there's one thing I do want to say right now, which is um, if somebody's primary concern really is for the well-being of those humans who live during and immediately through this crash, which we're seeing right now, by the way, then instead of attacking me for stating the obvious, what they should do, if their concern really is for the well-being of those humans who live during and immediately after the crash, then given there's going to be a crash anyway, what they should do is prepare people for the crash. And frankly, most of the people who complain that wanting to bring down civilization is genocidal, um, I don't see them doing a lot of work to help people through the crash. I see a lot of heads in the sand. And the truth is that we need it all. We need people to um, knock out electrical infrastructures. We need people to take out dams. And we need people to prepare people for the crash. And we need people doing all of these different things. And one of the things also that's really important to recognize is this culture has declared war on the planet, it's declared war on the poor, and it's declared war on, this is what colonization is. I don't remember if I mentioned this a couple minutes ago. There's a great line by Stanley Diamond, the anthropologist. Civilization originates in conquest abroad and repression at home. This culture has been based on conquest from the beginning. And what I want to do is stop the conquest. My definition of bringing down civilization is this: depriving the rich of their ability to steal from the poor, and depriving the powerful of their ability to destroy the planet. And nobody but a sociopath or a capitalist could disagree with that insofar as there's any difference.